I'm very excited because guests that have been 3 years in the making. Put up the video for people watching on video, please, video department. Stugotz, look at this here. We've got a couple of kayakers who I don't even know where this is, but we will get to the questions in a segment or two, are just all around, in the water. There are a bunch of people in the water, and a whale breaches the water in search of eating some plankton or whatever it is that they are meant to eat. And
whatever's in their way, Dan.
Well, I have feared this for a long time, ending up in a whale's mouth because it mistakes something, and then all of a sudden you got a boat or a canoe or a kayak and people in a whale's mouth.
I thought you meant eating kayakers.
It's almost as jarring for, like, the guy who's just doing that standing paddleboarding, like, 50 yards away, and he's just like, oh, no.
It's jarring for everybody because you might be next, and you don't know what is happening with the sea, especially now that in Spain, I want to talk to McGill about this tomorrow. In Spain, the orcas are just attacking boats now because they're vengeant about, like, you guys have destroyed the earth, and we don't like your boats.
Or they're just dumb fish who think
those are not dumb fish, Chris. Cody, don't ever say that again. The apex predator of the planet right there. Well, what are you just saying?
Also, they're not fish. They're
I'm
mammals.
pretty sure that they're not sitting there like, oh, there's a boat. These things.
You have no idea what they think.
They're killing our oceans. Let's go send them a message. No, they're like, oh, there's something shiny up there. Let me go eat.
I'm pretty sure the story is that a boat hit the mother of one of these pods, and since then this group has been seeking vengeance on ships.
How could we possibly?
It's like a movie.
It's like a generational
it's like a movie
incoming for sure.
Yeah.
Elephants can do stuff like that. We don't know how much the animals know. None of us know how much the dolphins, for example, are talking with all those squeaks, what it is that they're saying to each other.
Kind of rooting for the animals.
The dolphins are super horny as well. So
that is true.
I don't know. I don't know what they're saying, and the orcas are definitely. And we'll get to this with Ron McGill tomorrow. But put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Are the orcas seeking vengeance for past human crimes, destroying the earth? We'll get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a moment, but this is legitimately an interview that has been 3 years in the making. A horrifying video, one of my worst nightmare fears. Everyone tells me the whales have no issues with us, that the only way that a whale will end up putting you in its mouth is if it's been a terrible mistake. And Julie McSorley and Liz Cottriel they survived what I'm going to call a humpback whale attack that may have been inadvertent, but in November 2020, they were out in the water, and it looked to me like a whale breached the water and ate them. And spit out their kayak or whatever, their canoe. But it looked to me like two human beings had just been consumed by a giant whale that made a terrible mistake, as I said. Not interested in eating human flesh, but clearly consumed these two people. So thank you, Julie and Liz, for joining us. Before we get started on what the experience was like, Liz, let's start with you. Can you tell me just how much experience you had in the water at that point, and if you had any trepidation whatsoever about the fact that you were going this close to whales breaching the water?
Zero experience. And my really great friend right here talked me into going out into the water because I'm usually not in the water, in the ocean for sure. And she had gone out the day before. So with her husband, and she said, oh, you got to come. Let's just go. So I gave in and I went, and it was very surreal. There were tons of people out there, lots of whales, and I got really comfortable finally. And it was nice. I mean, I was enjoying it at that point, but I'd never been out in the ocean with whales.
And what was your level of fear before you got to the enjoyment? Like, once you see what's happening out there, 1 to 10, how afraid were you in this as an adventure?
8, maybe.
Okay. And is it because you're fearing that?
Just they're monstrous. And I just didn't know, what to expect. They're, when I got out there, I saw so many of them breaching and, all of that I just was worried that we were going to get too close to one.
Julie,
but yeah,
I'm sorry, forgive me for interrupting you. You were saying?
My fear was pretty high.
Julie, you were soothing her fear. What kind of experience did you have before doing this?
Well, I don't go out very often. We did have this double kayak my husband got me. So my husband and I had been out the day before, and there were multiple whales out, just, probably a dozen or more whales, even close enough into the marina where they were swimming between the boats. So it was beautiful. There were dolphins and otters and seals all around. And they got fairly close to some of the boats, but we tried to stay back far enough away. And it just seemed like the whales knew, they swam around things and they knew where things were. And it did, there were all kinds of other people out there on paddle boards and kayaks. And we were farther away from them than most other people. So, the kayak's pretty stable in the ocean normally. So I assured Liz that nothing would happen and kayak would not dump over and we'd be pretty safe. So
were you okay?
Little did I know.
On the first day, were you okay without fear, or the first time that you went out? Because the whales are breaching, correct? And they're, never mind ending up in one of their mouths, they can breach and just land on you, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
I was not close enough for that to happen the first day. And even the second day up till it did happen, we tried to stay back. The whales, when they breach, they come down and they leave a slick in the water. It kind of looks like an oil slick. And you can see where that was. So we got in the habit of paddling to where that was so that we knew the whale had moved on from that place. So we were trying to be safe that way. But in this particular case, the whale swam back around.
Liz, can you tell me then what happens next? You're in the water for how long before what happens?
No, we probably were out there half an hour, and I had the paddle, and I released the paddle, and I had Julie's phone around my neck in a water case. And so I was taking snapshots of the whales, trying to anyway. And I got really comfortable and more relaxed. And I was just surprised at how close the whales were coming to people, just, whoa, it's like, whoa, that was close. But
yes, you thought that, and you at what point were mother bleeping your friend Julie at like when did that happen?
That was afterward. No, I didn't. That was after we were done. I said, "Did that really happen?" No, I was having fun. She had the paddles, I had the camera, so we were watching the two whales, like Julie said, and following them. And we lost one of them, and she had to go to work, so we were about ready to come back in, and we stopped just to watch to see where the second whale went. And little did we know that was underneath us. We were sitting on a bait ball. So as the whale came up, the fish were crackling against the side of the kayak. And I knew at that moment, something's going to happen. It's going to happen right now, because these fish were jumping out of the water. And sure enough, it came up like this and then down. And I was looking in the upper mouth, and she was up higher. So she had both paddles. I had the camera, and it was on. And we just slipped right out of the boat into the mouth. Because we were sideways.
Did Julie make it to work that day, or a little late?
Yes, she did.
You tell the boss I was eaten by a whale.
Did your boss believe you? Yeah, exactly. I mean, what happened?
Got a whale of a tail.
Well,
You know what I mean?
Right. Sounds like a whopper. Right.
Yeah. So my husband and I are physical therapists, so we run our own clinic. So I was supposed to be at work about noon, and this happened about 10:30. So the funny part about it was the keys to the car that we had fell into the ocean.
Where am I fucking?
And it took a while to figure out how to get back even to the house. But I did make it to work a few minutes late. I called in and told them I'd be a little bit late. We were dumped into the water by a whale. We didn't know at the time that we were actually in the whale's mouth, closed up in the whale's mouth till we saw the video, because the whale's mouth is so huge. It just felt like we were in a wave tumbling in the ocean. And I knew that a whale had come up and dumped us in the water. And I thought that, we're worried about coming up under the boat, trying to get around the boat, getting air. That's all I could think about, is getting up to the surface. And I thought maybe the whale had drug us down deep, so that I was worried about drowning, basically, more than anything. But I didn't know till I saw the video and saw us slipping into the whale's mouth as the mouth closed, saw my arm. You can see my arm outside of the whale's mouth and the paddle outside of the mouth as we go in. It's very, very clear. And the people around that watched us thought we were dead. So it was kind of it was more scary after the event than during the event, actually.
Julie, what was it like in there?
It was just, if you've ever, I don't know if you've ever been like body surfing in the waves or surfing. It's just, you tumble like you're in a washing machine. Just like yeah, it was crazy.
How much would I have to pay you to go back, Julie?
Oh, I'd go tomorrow.
Get out of here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I would stay probably in a whale watching boat when it comes to when the whales are that close, but I would kayak out in the ocean anytime.
Julie, why do you say that it was worse after than it was during?
Because I didn't know what was happening when it was actually happening. I thought we were just dumped in the ocean. And so once I got up to the air and knew that I was okay, I was fine. But it was just getting, you think when you're in the water, you think about what safety, what do I do? Where's Liz? And getting a breath. And once you got that, you're fine. But afterwards, when I saw the video and saw what actually happened and that we were actually in the whale's mouth and it could have gone a lot worse, that's when I realized how dangerous it was and how close of a call that it was.
Liz, how long were you in there and how long did it feel like you were in there?
Well, when the whale's mouth came, like looking at it, it was really close. And I looked like I put my arm out like, ah! And you can hear me scream in the video. And it comes down. We slip into the water. First of all, I thought it was going to get crushed. And then we slip in the water and we had life vests on. And I was like, now I'm going to drown. But you had just enough time to grab some air. And I thought, I can't, I don't know where I am. How do I get up? How do I get out of here? And so I started to panic a little bit instead of staying calm. But I think I don't know, Julie, I think it was about 15 seconds. And then I popped up, but I didn't know where I was under there. It was like I was in a tidal wave or something. It was just, fish were floating by and I was like, ah, I was just really scared at that point. I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Do you guys ever find yourself at like a cocktail party and somebody else is like telling some exciting thing that happened to them involving the ocean and yours is just such a better story? And you find yourself, you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to be the person like, oh, I was eaten by a whale.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, it happens.
They have pocket aces. They do. Right. Yeah. For life.
And people who know us, they usually say, do you know what happened to her? And then you go into the whole story.
Julie, can you tell me, did it feel like more than 15 seconds or is that what it felt like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was definitely one of those occasions where time stops and you feel every second. You remember everything about it. So it was really quick, but then you remember everything about it. So it's one of those times where you're kind of like your life flashes before your eyes kind of moment where you just know everything that's going on around you and you're thinking a lot of things in your head and you remember everything. So it felt a lot longer than it was.
Liz, at any point were you able to have in the panic the conscious thought of, I right now am in this whale's mouth?
I didn't know, like Julie said, I wasn't sure I was in the mouth. I knew that we had slipped in and I was down. I just felt like, how am I going to get up now? And I didn't know how far the whale went down. So when then she popped up and then I popped up right next to her, right on upside down side of the kayak. And people were going, oh my God, you were in the whale's mouth. You really were in the whale's mouth. And that's when it registered that we were in the whale's mouth.
Julie, any smells and was it dark in there?
It was definitely dark. I wish, going back, I wish we could remember those details because now that we know that we were in the whale's mouth, I wish I could remember the smells and the sound thing. But it was very, very dark and it was just really quick. So I don't remember the smells at all. But if you look back, if I look on my camera, since the video was going the whole time and we go frame by frame, you can see in from frames, you can see the fish that were in the whale's mouth. You can see the white of the whale's mouth and you can see the baleen of the whale, which is kind of like the teeth of the whale, the baleen. in the photo. So it's kind of cool to go back and look at those things.
Julie, I need to clarify this. When I said, would you go back, I meant back in the whale's mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think I'll stay out of there.
Okay, good.
Good. I'm glad you followed up on that. Julie, Liz, thank you for being on with us. It was worth the wait. 3 years we've been wanting to talk to these ladies. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.